Test, test. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. To begin this TED Talk, I want to ask you something, okay? I want you to raise your hand if you ever let your emotions take the wheel. Okay. Now, I want you to raise your hand if you ever felt weighed down by your struggles, like they're slowly chipping away. Huh? Oh, like they're slowly chipping away at who you are. Struggling or having struggles are such an annoying experience to have on your back, slowly deteriorating you, causing you to slowly turn down yourself. You then allow yourself to make it all about it, portraying such things in a negative way. Today, I want to talk about how you should never let your struggles define who you are. Now, I didn't always understand this lesson. In fact, I had to learn it the hard way. When I was 10, the COVID-19 pandemic happened. Suddenly, there wasn't much to do since you're stuck at home all the time. But thankfully, I was a motivated kid. I had tons of hobbies like drawing, singing, dancing, and I even enjoyed sports. But I had this one clear skill that I was really determined teaching myself gymnastics. But more specifically, I wanted to master this one move in the area. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like a cartwheel, but you don't use your hands. So you just kind of jump right into it. Every day, I'd watch tutorials. I'd practice every types of cartwheel every day, and I would test my flexibility. And eventually, I got good, like really good. Till came the day where I actually needed to do this aerial. Every tutorial said the same thing. It was to have a mat, a mattress, some kind of floor protection. But I didn't have any. That day, I stopped. I told myself, what's the point? If I can't do the actual move, then why bother practicing it at all? Little did I know that mindset would be the beginning of my downfall. That one thought spiraled. My routine quickly turned into sleeping, eating, logging into Zoom, sleeping again, eating again, and blah, blah, blah. I kept thinking, I can't do this one thing, then why bother doing anything at all? But here's what I learned. That one obstacle, not having a mat, it wasn't what held me back. What held me back was the fact that I let my struggles define me. I stopped seeing myself as someone who could find a way. Started believing I wasn't enough without the perfect condition. And once I understood that, I began to notice the same pattern everywhere. Schoolwork, friendships, and even the way I talk to myself. Everything I did, everywhere I went, I would always hear that little voice in the back of my head saying that if I wanted to do something, I have to be perfect at it, or else it's not worth it. For example, if I didn't understand a subject, I wouldn't question it. I just assumed that I wasn't smart enough. Or if one person criticized me, I would forget about all the people who believed in me. And if I saw a classmate or a friend do a better job at a project than me, I would just stop trying altogether. All of these thoughts made me second guess everything. I never believed in myself. It was like my brain had this filter that only let in the bad stuff and shut out everything good. All of this led me to believe that I would never be good at anything. Being honest, sometimes. But I started to wonder, what the problem wasn't me? What if the problem was the way I thought about failure? I didn't have a breakthrough overnight. There wasn't some magical aha moment where everything got better. But little by little, I started to pay attention to how I talked to myself. Whenever I felt like I messed up something and give up, I tell myself to look at the different perspective. I'd ask myself, okay, what if failure isn't proof that I'm not good enough? What if it's proof that I'm actually trying? Eventually, I started to get used to that mindset. I was able to push myself to stay motivated and focus on the progress instead of rushing to the. It was far. There were still moments where I wanted to give up on everything. I kept comparing myself to people that I surround. It felt like everyone around had something that they were good at, like they had their whole lives organized. They made it look so easy. Well, I didn't feel like I was great at anything. It led to a really dark place for me. I felt like I was just drifting, like I wasn't really living, just I completely lost myself in that mindset. I let that one problem, constantly comparing myself to others, control the way I saw everything, potential, my friendships, and even my future. It was like I was trapped in this cycle of never believing that no matter how hard I tried, I'd never measure up. And after hearing that voice in my head long enough, I started to believe it was true. Every day, I would ask myself, why can't I feel better? Why do I feel so worthless? But the more I thought about it, I realized the only reason I felt that way was because I wasn't trying. I realized that the only reason I felt like that was because I would always give up on something before I even tried. It wasn't that I had problems, it was the fact that I gave them the power to tell me who I was. I knew I couldn't keep living like that, letting every mistakes, every insecurity decide who I was gonna be. I had to find what I learned that the key isn't to get rid of those struggles, but to change how we respond to them. Struggles don't disappear, but we can stop letting them. I realized that I didn't have to be perfect to be worthy of trying. I didn't have to have it all figured out to make progress. All I needed was the courage to keep up for myself, even on the hard days. And that's what I want you to remember too. Your struggles don't define you. The way you fight through them does. The way you stand back up after failing is what shapes you into who you are becoming. One thing that helped me was learning to separate who I am from what I go through. Just because I was struggling doesn't mean that I was weak. Just because I failed doesn't mean that I was a failure. I started asking myself what you could achieve if you fought through this hard chapter. That one question helped shift the way I saw everything. And every time I wanted to give up, I reminded myself that quitting would only guarantee that you stay stuck. Trying, even failing, is progress. If you've ever been feeling lost or stuck, I want you to remember that you're not broken. You don't have to have your life perfectly figured out right now. What matters is you don't hand your whole identity over the hard things you're facing. You are not your mistakes. You are not your bad days. You are not all the mean things you tell yourself when you're frustrated. You are more capable, more worthy, and more powerful than you realize. So when life tells you that you're not good enough, I want you to remember this. Your past is not your prison. Your struggles don't get to write the ending of you do. And that story is still being written. Every single day you choose not to give up, keep going. You deserve to see who you become on the other side of this. I'm Vanya. Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk.